Okay. What up, Claytriots? It's your boy, Technically Clay, streaming at you from slightly rainy, almost drizzly St. Louis, Missouri. How's everybody doing out there? I hope you're doing well. Long time no see. Since the last time you saw me, a whole bunch of stuff has happened, but generally speaking, before I, get into the actual stream, I'm not going to go over like the entire week, I guess, since the last time I was on. But I've been kind of reconsidering about, particularly about how often I stream. And I think I was getting a little bit overwhelmed with trying to do like every day, especially with trying to like prepare and then, clip and then also do thumbnails, and everything was getting just a little bit overwhelming. So I still want to do occasional streaming, I think. Like, I don't want to quit or anything. I still think I want to. However, I think it's going to be a lot more sporadic. I think it's going to be when I feel like it, when I feel like there's stuff I want to talk about, as opposed to like an everyday thing. Maybe. I don't know. Like, this is all very, this is just how I'm feeling at the moment. Things can change. Maybe I'll end up wanting to stream every day again. Maybe I'll get a new burst of energy to do that. I don't know. But it eats up a lot of my time, and because I have a real job, it's like if this was the only thing I was doing, sure, but it's like I got a real job. I got, I'm essentially working. If you include, I mean, I guess you can't. Maybe I shouldn't, but like if I include streaming and like all the stuff I do after streaming for like as a part of my work day, essentially, then I'm essentially working from like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. every single day, so it's like a lot. So I don't know. We'll see where this goes. I don't want to say that I'm done for sure, but I also want to let people know that it's probably going to start being a little bit less consistent, not every day, when I feel like it, all that sort of stuff. So there you go. There's the update from the Technically Clay channel. I hope everybody's not too disappointed out there. All 200 subs. I hope you're not too disappointed. Okay. Anyway, with that being said, today's going to be a normal day where we are going to be going over the news of the day. We're going to be talking about Platner. This is the primary reason that I felt like I needed to stream today, because there's been so much Platner discourse talking about Graham Platner. I feel like everybody's, well, I'll get into it when we get there, but like, I feel like everybody's kind of wrong, but like, I don't know. There's like we will get into the weeds of how I feel about the Platner situation. And then we'll go over what's happening, obviously, like what's currently going on. But then we do need to talk more about Iran, because it feels like we're basically back in the hot war again. So things are changing. I mean, kind of. This was kind of what I was expecting to happen eventually anyway. So, you know, we'll see. But we'll see what's going on with the Iran situation. I got a weird story about Yair Netanyahu. Netanyahu's son has apparently changed his name. I don't know what that's about. We're gonna read that and we're gonna try and figure out why. Yeah, that'll be fun. And then something not so fun. ICE has another shooting victim that they took out. The American Occupation Forces, ICE, has killed another. So we'll talk about that. And also maybe a little bit of slop, like right-wing sloppulous stuff regarding it. And then we got McConnell. Is he alive? Is he dead? Is he brain dead? Is he in any, even he was kind of already brain dead, right? Like, if you've seen him in meetings and stuff before. So maybe he's just exactly how he's been for like the past 5 years. But we'll talk a little bit about that. I know that I feel like liberals eat that shit up like catnip. So okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of it all, right? We're going to talk about Graham Platner now. So I want to, I'll just go over high level what has happened, right? A few weeks, we're going to start back, when it all started. So Graham Platner has historically been a very like sketchy candidate, right? He had a Nazi tattoo that he got covered up. Let's see. He was obviously in Blackwater, a mercenary group, like a private mercenary group, and he did multiple tours with them or whatever. That was the thing that I always thought was the most sketchy personally. He's also an alcoholic, right? So there's that usually tends to come with a lot of baggage as well. And a couple weeks ago, New York Times put out an op-ed, or maybe it was an actual hard news or straight news story about how Platner had a disturbing history with women. And I actually covered that. And my assessment by the end of that was that it was kind of a nothing burger. And I still stand by that story in particular was kind of a nothing burger. But the primary premise of that story was there is a lady named Fifield who was essentially a Republican operative who came forward and said that he had grabbed her arm once while she was getting out of while she wanted to go home and he didn't want her to, or something along those lines. He grabbed her arm once, which is, shitty scumbag move. Could be assault if she wanted to press charges, all of that. Not okay. And also, I think had made her uncomfortable by, cleaning his gun around her or talking, like having fantasies about wanting to kill a home invader, typical typical like ex-military gun owner, like Republican shit, to be honest. So my assessment from all of that was that this doesn't seem that serious. And also there was another person in there called named Rassikat. I forgot her first name, but she had mentioned that Graham Platner had come over to her house one time and that it had been a bad experience. That was about the level of depth that it went into in that story. And I didn't really think that much of it because that wasn't very serious, or like that. There were no allegations there. Like, I can't remember if she had said that he had come in without being invited. Maybe she had mentioned that. That could be breaking and entering, if you want to get technical with the law or whatever. But all in all, though, I was just like, this just seems like more sketchy behavior from a sketchy candidate, right? And I had always maintained that I was highly skeptical of Graham Platner. Out of all of these, somewhat left candidates, he was the one that gave me the most of like Fetterman or Cinema vibes. Like, I wasn't quite sure if he was going to actually govern in the way that he said he was going to. However, his messaging was on point. He was a good orator, and the people of Maine seemed to like him, and he was clearly the better candidate until now. So the other day, it came out that in a Politico story that that Rassicot girl that we had learned about had actually, she had told this to the New York Times, but she didn't want it to be published. That as a part of that like weird experience that she had when Platner came to her house drunk, was that he had essentially sexually assaulted her. There was a lot of corroborating evidence that they provided, contemporaneous evidence from when it happened, right? Which means that it's basically impossible for that to have been fabricated or whatever, right? Or she showed them text from like when it happened, like 3 years ago. So these are obviously very credible claims, but this wasn't in the original reporting. But now it has come out in this Politico story that he had essentially, raped her. And so this obviously created a shit show for well, everything, right? Everything going on with Maine politics. And there's a lot of things happening in regarding the actual like political outcomes of this. I want to separate those two things because we need to, right? There's the actual, victim here who was raped, and we should, all try to support her and not like try to in any way downplay her experience or whatever for political points or whatever, right? That is like number one thing that we should not do. And then there's the political outcomes of this. So I'm going to mostly be talking about that second case. I'm going to mostly be talking about the political situation, because that's what I cover, right? I'm a politics guy. So basically now it was obvious to everyone who immediately read the story, okay, Graham Platner is out. He is not going to be the candidate. Now that is up to Graham Platner to actually file the paperwork to get off the ballot, because he is the candidate right now. And my understanding is that he is planning to do that. He released a video yesterday saying that he is planning to do that, but he has not actually done that. But a lot of people have been taking this thing that happened and trying to score political points, I think. Well, there's two things happening. There's online discourse, which is like unhinged and vain and pointless. There's a lot of people who are going around doing I told you so victory laps. And if they want to do that, that's fine or whatever. But there's also a lot of people going around and trying to blame or conflate certain people and certain people's viewpoints when it comes to Graham Platner. Actually, I guess since I'm just rambling, let's just do the webcam. So in particular, there were certain people who were always skeptical of Graham Platner, myself included, but I would say that I would still generally defend him from the right-wing forces and right-wing lobby and the Israeli lobby, all coming to attack him for stupid reasons, right? I've always told people why I was skeptical of him, particularly the Blackwater stuff. But I guess I didn't really expect it to be like this. I was skeptical of him because I thought that he wouldn't govern the way that he said that he was going to govern. But anyway, but there were particular commentators like FD Signifier, Sean DeBlack, and then politicians I know like Chris Rabb had all come out and said that they did not trust him and that he should not be the face of any sort of movement, which I had agreed with. I did not think that he should be in any way the face of the movement, but I still thought he was better than the other candidates and would be in terms of like obviously better than Susan Collins, right? A person who got Brett Kavanaugh, another rapist, onto the Supreme Court, So like I thought that like he would be better than her at least. So those people were highly skeptical, and I don't think any of them are really going around doing a victory lap because, like I said, that's pointless. That's vain. That is all for your own ego. That like any discourse surrounding like I guess what I would say is like there were also people on the other side, like Kyle Kulinski, I would say in particular, our dark woke commander, Kyle Kulinski, and even people that I respect a lot, like some of the people at the Majority Report, who probably went like, I mean, didn't hedge their bets enough, if I had to say anything about it, in terms of what about how skeptical they potentially could have been or should have been about Grant Platner. But here's the thing, and I think that's kind of there's multiple things going on there, but I think there is a somewhat of a bias in some people and such a desire to defeat Trump, especially from, I would say, what I would consider more liberal leaning political commentators than the actual like left socialist commentators, that I think there's a little bit of a blind spot there where they want to build up and present every possible candidate that can oppose that is speaking from a left populist viewpoint in a way that they think that will be incredibly electable, particularly gruff white chud presenting men like Graham Platner, putting them like boosting them more than they would for other candidates who are even more radical and don't have all the same baggage that Platner does. But anyway, I guess this is kind of a ramble, so it might not be super coherent. I'm just letting people know. I'm just trying to process my thoughts on this. But anyway, anytime you get into the discussion, though, of you boosted him too much, this is your fault, or you did like anything along those lines where you're just trying to blame people and all you're doing is stroking your own ego. That's not beneficial for the cause. But I think it is beneficial to analyze why people maybe did that, what their biases may have been, so that people can hopefully learn and grow from that as well going forward. So like that's what I would say on that, is if you're making any of this about yourself, number one, it's rude to the actual like rape victim. Like, this is a real person. This is something that happened. But number two, it's not productive for actually trying to change people's how they behave. Because look, I like Kyle Kulinski and I like, the Majority Report a lot. But there's certain, I think, things that they like. Kyle Kulinski is somewhat, I think, reactionary in his like videos and how he discusses things. And I think that's going to lead to a lot of things like this happening to him. Because if you don't have an ideological framework that is the basis of where you are coming from and what you are looking for in candidates, this is probably going to, this might continue happening. That's where the theory part of leftism and like socialism and all that sort of stuff actually plays a big part, and being able to analyze and make objective sort of analyses based on that or whatever. And when it comes to like the Majority Report and like Emma in particular, I think she's kind of lib coded, and I think that sometimes that just clouds her bias a little, or clouds her perspective a little. But anyway, regardless, that's all I want to say about that particular part of the discourse. The rest of the stuff, though, I want to talk about is all of the same neoliberal centrist, the neoliberal centrist forces that are using this for their political, like to score political points and to try to disparage any sort of left populist movement the best that they possibly can, right? Because a lot of them are going around and trying to tie Graham Platner, who was a bad candidate that was plucked by, I think, Fight Agency, if I remember correctly. I think they're like an ad agency. But they're trying to tie that to the broader Bernie-crat, movement. And that's because obviously they're scared of the actual left and the victories that the left has been accumulating. I don't think that's going to work, by the way. Graham Platner was not associated with DSA. He was not associated with organizers. He was not in the political sphere in Maine. He was plucked out of obscurity, right? Those people are always going to be high risk, right? If you compare that to someone like Abdul, who's currently running for Senate in Michigan, Abdul is like a perfect candidate. He was like a Rhodes Scholar. He had I think multiple doctorates or something. He has an extensive history in public health, and he has engaged in the political system since 2018. So, there's like a difference there. But also the other thing I would say, like I said before, is that DSA did not endorse Graham Platner, and he did not come from the DSA lineup, because DSA is actually very diligent about who they are putting forward in front of people. And they are trying not to be associated with anybody who could turn around and be like a wrecker, right? And that's exactly why they did not endorse Graham Platner. And also they usually only endorse people who are actual DSA cadre members as well. However, that has not stopped the centrists and the neoliberals from doing everything they possibly can to try to make Graham Platner a boondoggle on, I think that's the right word, right? Like an albatross around the necks of like every single leftist who is running. I don't know if that's, like I said, I don't really think that that's going to work that much. That portion of the Democratic Party has been so disparaged, or like they have lost so much credibility in the eyes of the average voter. Like the Democratic Party has like a 40% approval rate. Like it's insane. It's insanely low. Most people don't fuck with like the Democratic Party establishment. So anyway, they're trying to do that. So I figured, let's see, that was like a big long ramble at the beginning because I wanted to go over it and go through what I'm thinking about it in particular so far. But now I'm going to throw it over to Joe here and Mika. Joe warns establishment Democrats, let Maine Democrats decide who replaces Platner. This might be a rare good take from Joe Scarborough, who I always say is one of the most annoying people in political commentary. He is so fucking annoying. However, this might be a good take. Let's see what he has to say. Let's see, because I always think of MS Now as like just like the the liberal, like the generic liberal political establishment take is kind of how I usually think about MS Now. So I'm curious what he's gonna think about it in this video. So let's go ahead and watch this real quick.
To Democrats in Washington, D.C. Graham Platner was losing support with independents, no doubt about it. But I will tell you, Meek and I have heard nothing. Let me underline that. Nothing but support from Maine Democrats on the ground for Platner. Platner signs are still up. They think that this is Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and the Washington establishment coming to get him. They all have the same story. They started hearing 10 days ago that people were coming up to Maine and they were desperate to try to get Platner off the ballot because they thought Susan Collins had too much on him and would destroy him. I will tell you, without revealing any names, that we have been bombarded by phone calls and text messages from people who want Graham Platner off the ballot, who are high up in Maine politics, and we've been getting that for the last 2 weeks. So why do I say this? Because there's a conspiracy? No, not at all. Go back to what I said at the beginning. A warning to Washington Democrats.
Before he gets into this, I do want to say this is like, we know what the Democrat establishment is going to try to do with this. It's what they were trying to do with it all along. They did not want Graham Platner to be the candidate, but it's not because they thought he was a bad candidate. Like, I would have wanted somebody different than Graham Platner, who didn't have all of the red flags, but had the same message. And I think in general, that's what the average Maine voter wanted as well. They liked the message. They tolerated the red flags, right? They tried to put in, who was it? Nancy something, or Graham Platner primary challenger. Who was it? Come on, Google AI. This is what you're supposed to be. This is what Google AI is supposed to be good for. I can't even figure. I forgot her name. Anyway, apparently, I think he's still, even post these allegations, like, he's still doing better than the person he Nancy Mace. Is that it? That can't be right. Is it? That's not right. I can't remember. That's somebody else. Sorry, I'm blanking on the name. I'm terrible at remembering names, but yeah, he's still, I think, outperforming her when in a head-to-head matchup against Susan Collins. That just shows how little the appetite there is in the state of Maine for the Democrat establishment pick. And now my understanding of the process that they're about to do is they're getting a committee of like 600 delegates or something to try and who are going to then vote and decide on who the next candidate is going to be. That's not going to work, man. We already tried this with Kamala. It's not going to work. Okay, we can't do Kamala again. You need to just do another open primary immediately. That's what you need to do. It needs to be another open primary immediately. That's the only chance there is for the Democrats winning Maine. And even then, it is incredibly slim, because I need to tell people something. This is something that might break your brain a little bit. The average voter is conspiratorial and kind of dumb. Okay. The average voter literally thinks that Israel killed Charlie Kirk. Like, no hesitation, no doubt. And I'm not just talking Republicans. I'm talking Republicans and Democrats. The average voter is incredibly conspiratorial and will believe whatever they want if it will align with their worldview, right? I assure you that there is a significant portion of the Maine populace that believes that all of this was just Israel did this shit. That's what they're going to think. They're going to think that Israel planted or fabricated this information to try to get Graham Platner out of the race because they didn't want an anti-Israel person in there. There's going to be a significant portion of the Maine public who is going to think that. And guess what? Those people are going to be Platner dead enders. They are going to only vote for Platner. They are not going to vote for anybody else. No matter who it is, even if there's an open primary, they might still write in Platner because they're going to be Platner dead enders. So, like, I'm just saying, the only way that you will have any legitimacy whatsoever that could even possibly, and I mean, this is slight, but possibly salvage this situation is only if you do some sort of snap open primary. Like, that's the only way that this works. Anything else is not going to work. This delegates thing is not going to work. Whatever candidate they pick is going to lose. I'm telling you right now. People underestimate how the average voter thinks and what they think and how conspiratorial they are, just generally speaking. Like there's going to be a significant portion that are going to be Platner dead enders, no matter what. And the only way that you could possibly get some of those people to come on board is if you give them an opportunity to re-vote in a new primary. And if you don't do that, they're not going to come out to the polls. So anyway, let's hear what Joe's opinion on this is.
To Washington Democrats, you do need to listen to Graham Platner. Because whether it's true or not, just as Caddy said about her son who has been working on this campaign, rank and file Democrats who have been supporting Platner from the very beginning think that this was cooked up in Washington, D.C. with a lot of money behind it to find anything that could be found to get Graham Platner off the ballot. And I will say, we know nothing about that. Meek and I have been scratching our heads for the last couple of weeks going,
well, because they're right. They're right. They're 100% correct. Because guess what? The Democratic establishment backs rapists all the fucking time. Bill Clinton, Andrew Cuomo, I guess they got rid of, who was it? I don't want to say any names without knowing for sure. But anyway, those are two prominent ones. Joe Biden, he was credibly accused of rape too. You know what I'm saying? Because they back them all the fucking time. But they don't back them when they are a left populist. And I'm not saying that that's good or bad, by the way. I do not think that we should put a rapist in office under all of those circumstances. I don't think that Donald Trump, the pedophile in chief, should be in office either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I personally do believe that rape is a bridge too far. Your politics can't save you if you are a rapist. You can have good politics, but if you're a rapist, I'm sorry, I'm out. Like, you know, I mean, maybe that's a controversial opinion, at least in the Republican and Democrat Party, frankly. But it's because the voters understand, though. They understand what I'm saying right now is that the Democratic establishment and just Republican establishment and AIPAC and all the donors would not have searched for and pumped a message like this as hard. Well, it probably would have gotten out by the actual election, like between Susan Collins and him, regardless, because the Republicans definitely would have gotten it. But I guess what I'm saying is the difference is the Democratic establishment would have completely backed this candidate. They would have completely backed Graham Platner, and they would have completely backed him in the actual election against Susan Collins if he wasn't a left populist. They 100% would have. All of this sort of maneuvering that they're doing behind the scenes is because they want him out because of his politics. That's why they are cynical. You have no idea how cynical these people are. If you are like an establishment politician, they are incredibly cynical.
Why are we getting all these calls about Graham Platner needing to be off the ballot?
73-year-old woman who is just
like constant calls. So anyway, that's what Democrats on the ground in Maine believe. So Washington needs to stay out of this, and Maine Democrats need to figure out who is going to replace Graham Platner
soon
on the ballot. And if Washington thinks they can micromanage this and fix this, they need to listen to what Caddy's son said, because they're going to piss off their base, and their base won't come out and vote in the general election. They just won't. Yeah,
we should not underestimate the excitement that Platner instilled in people, including voters who had told reporters in Maine they hadn't voted in a while, but they found a connection with him. He, you know, for all of his flaws, and there are obviously many, he was a charismatic, a talented political.
At this point, the only possible thing that can save them is, number one, they have to have an open primary, like I said before. But number two is just the Iran war tanking the fucking economy and people being so pissed off that even like Republicans are like, nah, I don't want Susan Collins. Like, that is potentially the only thing that can save them. And that's not a long-term strategy either. But like, I don't know. I'm kind of blackpilled on this one. I'm not going to lie. I think Maine is basically cooked. I don't think that we're going to get a Senate majority at this point. because the fucking Graham Platner, by the way, Graham Platner is such a fucking narcissist, dude. I watched his video about like and I kind of, to some extent, I kind of already knew that he was a narcissist, but I didn't know he was this much of a narcissist. He made it all about himself. It was very Trumpian in that way. But anyway, I forgot where I was going with that.
Political athlete. People were drawn to him, and his messaging worked, and it's reflective, and we've seen this across the country right now. There's sort of a not a civil war, but a real debate in the Democratic Party and about which direction to go. And there's real energy on the progressive side, the anti-establishment side. We saw it in Colorado. We've seen it in New York. We've seen it in other races, saying we're tired of same old, same old. Some of it is about age and generation, but some of it is about charisma and energy and speaking to the issues that matter to voters, like
Anyway, I agree with all of the things that they were saying. Generally, like they're right. They're right. If you don't replace them with, well, this is what I'm saying. It shouldn't be replaced. You need buy-in. I said this during the Kamala. Like I wasn't streaming back then, but I said this exact same thing when they were doing this for Kamala. I said I don't care if the voters end up picking Kamala anyway. You need the buy-in from the voters that they are a part of the process, that they are selecting it. If you don't have that, it's not going to work. Same thing here. If you don't have the buy-in from the public that they feel like they are a part of this democratic process to choose a replacement, then it's not going to work. And even then, it's a very low likelihood of working anyway. Let's go ahead and read this article. It's real short, about what we know and don't know about how Maine Democrats will replace Graham Platner, because I've heard high level that it's going to be some sort of committee or something of like 600 people or whatever. I don't know. So that's about all I know. This is by Ethan Cohen, so let's go ahead and try and figure it out. One sec. Okay. Maine Democrats are embarking on a 2-week sprint to pick a new nominee for one of the year's most important races in the wake of Graham Platner's decision this week to suspend his Senate campaign after allegations of sexual assault, which he denies. By the way, if Graham Platner was just even an iota of a movement person, of a person who is like dedicated to the cause and the movement of like leftism or socialism or even just left economic populism or whatever, he would have used his leverage to force them to do a democratic process to select his replacement. Okay. But he didn't do that in his video. I watched the whole fucking thing. He did not come out, and that's why I'm like, he is such a fucking narcissist. He should have come out and said, and I am not going to withdraw unless the Democratic Party sets up a new snap primary for the voters of Maine to select a replacement for me. If he was a movement builder at all, then that's what he would have done. But he didn't do that shit. So he just said, I'm going to, I will. Like, it's like he has all the power in this situation because he is the one who can just say, nah, I'm just staying in. That's what he could do. He could say, nah, I'm just staying in. And we'll see if we win anyway. You know, like he could do that. He could say, I'm not dropping out. What are you going to do about it? Like, you know what I'm saying? He could just say that to them. So I don't know. I think that, yeah, I was very disappointed with how little he used his actual leverage to try and get, a better outcome out of this after he royally fucked up this entire thing by deciding to run as a fucking, rapist. And he had the text, according to the Politico article, he got the text of her accusing him of violating her consent or whatever. So he knew this shit was out there. Anyway. Shortly before Platner announced on Wednesday he'd be leaving the race, the party's state committee voted to hold a nominating convention to choose a replacement before the 5 p.m. Eastern Time deadline on July 27th. But many details about the process, including when the convention will be held, who the delegates will be, and how exactly candidates can access the ballot, have not been announced. In a statement, party leaders said that transparency is of the utmost importance and they would announce additional details soon. Yeah, right. Fucking this brought to you by the same people who anointed Kamala Harris from Biden. Yeah, I'm sure it will be. The convention process could be similar to how national parties pick presidential candidates when delegates elected from each state are ultimately responsible for choosing their nominees. But while in the modern presidential process, delegates generally vote for a candidate based on the results of a popular vote, given the compressed timeline in Maine, it seems unlikely there will be a similar statewide opportunity for voters to express their preference. You could do it, man. You could do it. I don't think that there is a physical reality to not being able to set up a snap primary. I think that you could do it in a couple weeks. I think in a couple weeks you could have the infrastructure built out, like send out the ballots, or send out the ballots, have people come to the polls. I think you could have it done in a couple weeks. The convention, let's see, Yeah, the convention is expected to feature roughly 600 delegates, including around 500 elected from the state's 16 counties and about 100 voting members of the state committee. A source familiar with the process told CNN. Okay. So these are elected officials from the state's 16 counties. I still don't like it. I don't think there will be enough buy-in from the people. I just don't think there will be. And these state these like county these county officials, I mean, I'm going to guess that most of them are, DNC hacks. Like I'm going to guess that most of them are not are just corporate Democrats, man. I don't know. We'll see. The process for how which doesn't represent what people wanted from their elected representative in this election. The process for how those delegates are selected and who those people ultimately are will go a long way to determining which of the more than half a dozen hopefuls emerges as the new nominee, and there are more questions than answers. For example, who will get to vote for delegates within each county? Will delegates run affiliated with specific candidates, or will they ask voters to trust their judgment at the convention? Then there's the question of how voting at the convention will work. With so many potential candidates, it's easy to imagine no candidate having a majority. Will the party use ranked choice voting as the state does in primaries? Or will there be multiple rounds of voting during which campaigns can try to lobby delegates? Oh my God. Ugh. Another outstanding issue that still needs to be resolved. Platner is still technically on the ballot. Well, he said in his withdrawal video that he would submit paperwork to remove himself. He hasn't yet, according to the Maine's Secretary of State's office. He has until 5 p.m. Eastern time on Monday to do so. He still has all the leverage, man. Fix this shit, Platner. You fucking narcissist rapist. Just fix this one fucking thing, asshole. Jesus Christ. Okay, what was this? Okay. Oh, this is probably an analysis of this. So let's go ahead and read this. It's not that long. I just noticed the article title and I thought it sounded interesting. So, politics. Candidates need more than vibes. Graham Platner proves it. We've really lost the plot on how to relate to the working class by Christina Catarucci. At some point in childhood, through one classic fable or another, most of us absorb the lesson that looks can be deceiving. It's what's on the inside that counts. Promoters of Graham Platner's doomed Senate campaign in Maine disregarded that age-old warning, and now they are paying the price. Based solely on a collection of vibes they thought would appeal to working-class voters, they elevated a candidate with a questionable past and a troubling present. After a steady drip of stories that illustrated Platner's loose hold on morality, one finally tipped the balance this week with a credible allegation of rape. Scores of prominent Democrats are calling for Platner to drop out of the race. With time running out and the fate of a winnable and essential Senate race in the balance, party operatives are scrambling to figure out what to do. I want to be clear. The rest of the stuff was like, it was sketchy, and I held him at arm's length for that reason, or I hedged my bets against him, saying that I didn't really trust him that much because of those, particularly the Blackwater stuff. I always say it. That was the main thing that made me very skeptical of Graham Platner. But none of those things were disqualifying in my view. If you show that you because there's plenty of vets who become anti-war, right? Vets often become anti-war. In fact, some of them are the biggest advocates of being of stopping these constant wars that we're engaged in, right? So I don't think that that's an immediately disqualifying thing. I think it would be nice for you to show that you've changed. I think that's important. And I would like also, it would have been nice if you had the history of the acts that you have changed by engaging in local politics for, that cause or whatever, right? Like being involved in the activist circles, or your local DSA organization or whatever. I think that would have been a much better way to gauge if he had actually changed or not. But none of the stuff before this last one was disqualifying in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion. I know some people think that every war criminal that we have sent abroad to do war crimes at behest of our pedo billionaires is irredeemable. There's a lot of people who think that. I do not think that. I think that they can be redeemed, and sometimes they are some of the staunchest advocates for anti-imperialism and anti-war. So, but I would say that Platner probably wasn't. I think he's an opportunist and a narcissist. There are plenty of lessons here, but there is one in particular that I hope does not get lost in the moment of chaos. The Platner folly exposes the pitfalls of this vibes-based mode of political recruiting. Platner was plucked from oyster farm obscurity by political strategists and betrothed couple Dan Maraf and Leanne Fan. This is the primary reason that I wanted to read this article, is I wanted to know more about this process that selected him. I only know the high level, like fight agency stuff or whatever, but I am very curious about this. So Platner was plucked from oyster farm obscurity by political strategists and betrothed couple Dan Maraf and Leanne Fan, who paid for a cheaper, faster version of the traditional vetting process a potential candidate usually undergoes. Well, that's not good. Strike number one. Yet another old adage they ignored. You can do something cheaply, quickly, or well, but not all three. Maraf has built his career around a mission to convince working class progressives outside of typical political pipelines to run for office. A plain-spoken veteran with a dense beard and a closet full of grimy sweatshirts, Platner fit the bill. Mm-hmm. So they, I think that they looked him. It sounds they're characterizing it as they looked him up and down and said, "These are the vibes that we want." And this is not to say that anybody who looks like Graham Platner can't be like a actual, like an actual leftist or a movement builder or whatever, right? However, I do want to be clear that there's this adage that I've heard before, and I've even said it before, look like a chud, act like a woke, or whatever. I think that's how people say it, is undefeated, or it's and I want to be clear. It is catnip for, I would say the, generally speaking, white, liberal, democratic, or an independent and even conservative voter. It is catnip for those people, and it is a very winnable thing, especially if you don't have rape allegations, I think, to use that adage. But I also want to be clear, there is a secondary aspect going on here, right? Where the reason that appeals is they are coding more conservative, right? And they are presenting their presentation, I think, is more conformative to this idea of particularly white left populism that, I don't know. I'm trying to think. It's not necessarily always it shouldn't, I guess what they're saying is right. It shouldn't be the only thing that you're looking for or whatever, right? And also that can also be kind of like a red flag to an extent as well. I don't know. I'm still processing, so I'm just going to keep reading while I think more. His left-leaning ideology was essential, certainly, and Mainers have spoken about his talent for riling up a crowd with an uncommon magnetism. Yeah, he is a good speaker. That's 100%. He is 100% a good speaker. Nobody can deny that. But what really made Platner appealing to Moraf and Fan didn't have anything to do with the kind of person he was or what was or wasn't on his resume. It was his unvarnished aesthetic. Part of our thesis here is that people do not want their candidates grown in vats, Moraf told the Wall Street Journal. That's true. They want people who are real human beings, and they want people who do not look and sound like the vat-grown people who've been leading this country off the cliff for the past century, and that was Graham. That's true. That is true, 100%. But there's a way to do that and a way not to do that, right? Because like you could say also like, okay, for instance, like let's think about the opposite of this, right? Like Zoran is he puts out the air of a buttoned up politician. That's how he aesthetically dresses himself, right? But he is also a left populist. So that's already kind of disproving this theory to some extent. But I think that it's more about the message than the aesthetic. I think that that's the thing that we should take away with. And maybe that aesthetic does work for independents and conservatives. Like I said, I think there's a weird, like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to say like white supremacist, but like white focused, white centering sort of ideology that is this like gruff everyday white working union member or whatever. Like when people think of like the everyday like union worker or something, most people just think of white people, like gruff white men. Like that's generally speaking what a lot of people think of. And so, but yeah, like if you compare Graham Platner to Zoran, who wore a suit every day, Zoran gave the aesthetic of a buttoned up politician, but he did not actually speak like one. I think it's more about the speech than it is anything in terms of being able to capture that left populist angst. But anyway, I'm just going to keep reading because I'm still processing. This is a shallow theory of how to achieve transformative political change, but it might have worked as the start of an electoral strategy. Voters judge candidates in part by the way they look and sound, so it makes sense to consider this in a potential candidate. However, Moraf and other Platner backers seem to have ended their assessment there. Rising star political strategist Morris Katz, who began working with Platner after contributing to the blockbuster success of the Zoran Mamdani campaign, has said he decided within the very first minutes of their initial conversation that Platner owes it to the country to run for Senate. I think Morris Katz was in the fight agency or whatever, if I remember correctly. Yeah, founded the political consulting firm Fight Agency. Wow, I was it to the country to run for Senate. Morris Katz, man. Oof. Going from Zoran to this, yikers. Well, yeah, okay. Zoran just had so much more around him, right? Like his history was that he was in the DSA, like he was a movement leader. That was the difference. Like he had the history and the actions that showed that he was an actual part of the movement as opposed to just a glommer-on of the movement. So, anyway, let's keep going. What qualified Platner to be one of the most influential people in the country? He had no experience in elected office, no notable history of activist organizing, no college degree, no significant success in the private sector. Okay, wait 1 second. He had no experience in elected office. That's not a big deal. I mean, it helps, I guess. If you have experience, that helps, but that's not that big of a deal. No notable history of activist organizing. That's a huge deal to me personally. No college degree, who cares? No significant success in the private sector, who cares? Not even a record of pulling himself by his proverbial bootstraps, who gives a fuck? That sort of stuff is so much bullshit, man. I do not give a shit about any of those last few things that they mentioned. He was given his oyster farm by a family friend, and it's not clear that it does much business. He doesn't take a salary, and his mother's restaurant is his biggest customer. Platner could relate to disaffected Maine voters, the thinking went, because like many of them, he had never quite found his footing in life. According to this school of thought, his main qualification was a lack thereof. Platner had nothing on which to hang his promises of political efficacy but a collection of articulated progressive beliefs. Well, that in a series of signifiers fetishized by white-collar consultants like Maraf, who think they know what working class voters want. Forearm tattoos, earrings, a cruddy trucker hat, a facility with raw shellfish, a litany of offensive Reddit posts, and a history of drinking too much. So the history of offensive Reddit posts, that's one of the things that I'm like, I don't care that much about that, generally speaking. I think everybody's going to have shit going forward in their past on the internet. And so I don't know, that's not that big of a deal to me. A history of drinking too much, that is kind of like another red flag, as they would say. Never mind that Platner's true background is more like I would rather his Reddit posts, because most of them were just like commie posts, right? Like he was just like a Socialist Rifle Association commie poster, basically. Which those I'm all fine. Those I'm all good with. But some of them obviously were, misogynistic and wrong. I would have much rather him had like Daria Lisa's Twitter posts as his history instead, where they're all just like based like ultra leftist shit or whatever. But taken as a whole, his rugged image was so seductive to the Ivy League educated strategists who backed him that they evidently forgot to wonder whether a guy who rants online about how women are at fault for their own rapes might have a deeper record of poor judgment in his past. Like I said, that was another red flag. Another red flag that was surmountable, but you don't know until you know. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. This is like, I would say that a whole bunch of our elected officials have this exact same shit in their text chats and online, forum posts and shit. Like a whole bunch of our elected officials have that exact same history. Some might look at the Platner implosion and realize that treating each one of his bad decisions, harmful actions, and personal failures as an upside for his relatability backfires spectacularly. Others are staking out the remarkable position that voters who care about a candidate's alleged sex crimes are forsaking terrorized Palestinians by revoking their support for Platner. I don't know who's saying that. After the rape allegation surfaced this week, the progressive political commentator Matt Stoller wrote on X, "The genocide in Gaza and the oligarchy supporting it are great moral sins for which we must all take responsibility. The messy personal life of Graham Platner is not." When was this posted? After the rape allegation. Okay. Well, yes. He's right. We should take accountability for or responsibility for the genocide in Gaza. I don't know if I would characterize what he did as messy personal life, though. That's a little bit rough. Having previously cheered Platner as a rejection of dim HR lady politics, Stoller argued that lawmakers like former Representative Matt Gaetz, who was found by a bipartisan House committee to have probably committed statutory rape, are net good as long as they contributed to positive policy gains in office. Well, I disagree with that assessment. I think there's a lot of voters out there who don't. I'm just being completely honest with you. I think there's a lot of people who are like, there's a lot of people who are so pissed off at the Trump administration right now that they don't give a shit, right? And they will become dead enders, like I'm telling you. Like Gaetz' backing of legislation supporting sexual harassment victims. In conclusion, Stoller wrote, "I reject that the personal decency of an individual has much to do with their politics." I also don't necessarily think that the personal decency, of an individual has a lot to do with their politics, to an extent, right? I think that I don't even think that Graham Platner doesn't believe his left populist message. I think he is a narcissist, and I think that's what he craves most of all. However, I also think I do think that he is very I think he's very similar to the average American in terms of like his belief system in his head, which is incredibly reactionary on some things, but also incredibly like, you know, like left populist on others, right? But anyway, but obviously, like, I think my personal assessment is that, you know, credible allegations of rape are disqualifying. So, setting aside the foolish contention that one's personal actions have no bearings on one's capacity for political leadership, people who treat women like garbage are not the only ones with good politics. There are certainly plenty of other rough around the edge Mainers with progressive ideals out there. I'm willing to bet that only a few of them lie to their wives about sexting other women. And I'm willing to bet that only a few of them lie to their wives about sexting other women. I would guess that a lot of them do. Surely even fewer have Nazi tattoos. I think you'd be surprised. Our Pete Hegseth has a Nazi tattoo. He's our Secretary of War. But each time a new and disturbing Platner story landed, the Reddit posts, the tattoo, the alleged physical abuse, the sexting, the rape allegation. Okay. One of these is not like the other. One of these is not like the other. This last one is not like the other. Platner's team responded with an almost Trumpian playbook. They disparaged the media, played it off as a targeted attack by a vengeful political establishment, and insinuated that each scandal only made Platner more authentically Maine. If voters don't want one of Maraf's vat-grown people, the Platner's camp suggested this is what's left. This is an insulting view of actual working-class Mainers, but after all the bluster about how Platner was building an unprecedented coalition of Mainers who loved him even more for his many, many flaws, we're left to decide. Is the vibes first, lightly vet later method an effective way to bring Trump-leaning demographics back to the Democratic Party? To answer that question, it's worth considering how likely it was that pre-implosion Platner was on a path to victory. This is a confusing article, man. I don't know what they're trying to say. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what they're trying to say so far. A recent New York Times Portland Press Herald Siena poll of Maine voters holds some answers. In the late June poll, taken after the sexting revelation and the physical abuse claims, but before the rape accusation, Republican incumbent Susan Collins beat Platner among non-college educated white voters by 23 points. In 2020, are you sure? Are you sure? I thought he was by far polling the best against Susan Collins than like any of the other candidates. Amongst non-college educated white voters. Sorry, this is only a specific demographic. So Trump voters, essentially. So Susan Collins beat Platner among non-college educated white voters, aka normal average Republican voters, by 23 points. In 2020, the last time Collins was up for re-election, she beat Democrat Sarah Gideon among that same demographic by 23 points. In other words, Platner seemed to have no real pull with the demographic he supposedly represented. Well, that's interesting. That's one poll. I would have to see, more information, because I do think that he would have gotten more independence and stuff. So maybe it's not that particular demographic of non-college educated white voters. But Platner doesn't seem to be wooing many registered Republicans either. Just 7% of poll participants said they support him. The new reports have quoted a few Trump voters who sounded open to voting for Platner. The poll found only 4% willing to do so. In fact, Mainers who voted for Kamala Harris were more likely to side with Collins than Trump voters were to side Mainers who voted for Kamala Harris were more likely to side with Collins than Trump voters were to side with Platner. I would have to look at all of these statistics, because everything that I've read, all of the stats that I've read before, is that like left economic populism is like polls more Republicans. Like it just does than standard neoliberalism. So like that, it just seems hard. It seems hard for me to like this just doesn't pass the smell test for me, to be honest. It just doesn't. But I would have to look into it a little bit deeper. But there is one demographic that has swung hard to the left since Collins ran last: white people with college degrees. Last time around, white college-educated voters supported the Democratic Party by a 13-point margin. This year, in the recent poll, they went for Platner by a whopping 37 points. Education is far from a perfect corollary for class. Still, it is striking that, well, yeah, because most people, I think, here's the thing. Most people who are college educated aren't working in their field really anymore. That's like almost a bygone era. Like a lot of people who are college educated are working as baristas or McDonald's workers or whatever, right? The idea of the college education being a vehicle out like to the middle class is, I think, basically dead now. Education is far from a perfect corollary for class. Still, it is striking that the candidate lauded as a relatable working-class college dropout everyman seems just as unpopular among non-college voters as his polished predecessor from the political establishment. And while the 2020 exit polls did not ask about income, the income data from the 2026 poll paints a related picture. A majority of respondents who supported Collins make under $100,000 a year. A majority of respondents who supported Collins make under $100,000 a year. A plurality, the Platner supporters make $100,000 or more. The voters, I mean, you need to show me these numbers, man. That could mean a lot of stuff. Like I would need to know the actual stats on that, but sure. The voters Platner swayed were the college-educated ones, the same voters who are rapidly realigning with Democrats across the country, a trend Trump has accelerated. They may have supported whatever Democrat was on the ballot, but it also makes perfect sense that in a race where class signifiers were treated as the be-all, end-all of political merit, the voters most swayed by Platner may have more in common with the strategist who chose him than with the candidate himself. This was a bad article, man. Dude, they gave me so much hope at the beginning. But they didn't assess anything. And this entire thing was just like, it just felt like they were just shitting on, like, I don't know. Like, I agree. I agree that aesthetics can't be the end all be all. I do agree with that 100%. We should have better standards and we should have, processes for selecting these people. My assessment is that the DSA and the left more broadly didn't have the capacity to choose an actual candidate here. Like, that's the main problem. If we could have chosen a candidate, oh my gosh, my camera is going stupid again. 1 second. What if I do this, does it work? No. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Focus, auto, apply. Okay, there we go. I don't know why it does that, but anyway, what I was saying was the left, I think, didn't have the capacity to choose a good candidate in this race. That's the problem. Because there was no actual left over there to pick a candidate, to organize and pick a candidate, it was up to these strategists, these political strategists. And while these political strategists might be good at certain parts of their job, right, I don't think that they are good at picking candidates. If you look at like the DSA candidates, none of them have had any problems like this, right? Like because they're organized around the movement and they are picking people that they trust, and they are picking people who have a long history of being trustworthy, right? So like, I think that you just need someone with the actual, with the history of actions to back up their credentials as being a left populist. I think that's the main thing. And I also I don't know. I would have to look into this more because this just seems wrong to me. Like maybe in one poll or something, but my assessment has and also I guess conditions are different too. But my everything that I've read has shown that like the left populist economic message has been better at swaying Republicans than neoliberal corporate centrism. But anyway. Okay, I'm done with Platner. That's enough Platner discourse. Hope you liked it. I'm sure there'll be no unhinged comments. I am sure that it will be completely and totally everyone will have complete and total nuanced perspectives and will not be completely unhinged in the comments. We'll see. We'll see. Only time will tell. Okay, let's get to the Iran situation. I'm done talking about that dude. Let's talk about Iran. Let's see. Since the last time, I've been out for basically a week or whatever, I feel like. So we're basically just back in a hot war at this point. Iran struck a couple ships that were going through the unapproved routes. As I've shown people multiple times, the MOU clearly states that Iran is the one deciding like the security arrangements of the strait during this memorandum of understanding. So they are enforcing their security or their power over the strait by shooting ships that are going through this illegal route. Now, Trump and the UN are trying to send these ships through this illegal route because they're trying to claw back some form of like victory that they did not win on the battlefield, right? Iran clearly won on the battlefield and America is lost, and because of that loss was forced to sign the memorandum of understanding in order to get the oil markets to stabilize, because as Trump said, we were weeks away from collapse, basically from economic collapse, and so that's what happened. America signed the memorandum of understanding, but then they still don't want to recognize that they've lost, so they're doing everything they can to try to claw back some form of victory. And the problem that America finds itself in is that it's just not possible, man. You already lost. There's nothing you can do. You tried everything. The only thing you didn't try, and I've said this from the beginning as well, is an actual ground occupation, which is what you would need to do if you wanted to even have a chance of changing the trajectory of this conflict. But I don't think Donald Trump has the cojones to do it. I don't think that I think he's just too scared of troops dying and coming back in body bags. I just think he's too scared of that. So round and round we go. The merry-go-round of Donald Trump's wars, where we live in a purgatorial cycle of hell, where America tries to claw back some form of victory. Iran, disciplines them with strikes, and then America goes back into the cycle of full-fledged hostilities, which is basically where we are now, where America is striking Iran just as much as they were during the hot war, and Iran is striking back about the same as they were during the hot war. So let's go ahead and watch this Fox News video. Let's see what's going on. Apparently, Iran even struck Jordan this time, which I think is the first time that I've heard about that, but I'm not 100% sure. So let's go and see what's going on from the Fox News perspective.
Josh, also breaking at this hour, the U.S. launching its second round of strikes in 24 hours in response to Iran firing on ships in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. forces hit approximately 90 Iranian targets, and Tehran responding by firing on American allies across the region. The back-and-forth attacks coming just weeks after a hard-fought deal to end this war. President Trump renewing his threat to, quote, finish the job.
We just hit them very hard, and I say we hit them 20-1. Every time they hit us, we're going to hit them 20. And we did it last night. They did a little something today, but it was really retribution for last night. They hit actually 3 boats, not 2. And when they hit...
Here's the problem. If you're going to hit them 20-1, it's the same fucking problem you had before. It's the same problem. Like, how many times do we have to go through this shit, man? You're going to run out of missiles. You're going to run out of interceptors. We used half of them in 6 weeks of war. Half of them. We make like 100 a year. We went through like 500 or something, like, what are you talking about? This is impossible. So now they're out there hitting the exact same targets that they hit before, just going back and just rebombing the same thing over and over again to try to feel busy and feel like they're doing something and to feel like they're actually impacting the war when it's not doing fucking shit. It's not going to do anything. Nothing will change strategically. Iran is going to eventually close the Strait of Hormuz again, and then the whatever 100 or 200 ships that got out can, I guess, slowly make their way across the ocean to refill some stockpiles. Okay, cool. And then we're in the exact same situation. Like, America is so low on its strategic oil reserves right now. Like, it is, it's getting bad, man. Like, they're getting almost to the critical level. And like I said, some of these ships that made it out might be able to make a small dent in that, but they were only going through it for like a week or something, you know? Up to, not even up to normal capacity, but up to like 60 or 70% capacity of what they used to do. So there's nothing that can change, man. This isn't going to change anything. It's just a waste. It's a waste of our tax dollars. It's a waste of fucking time. I'm just getting so tired of it, man.
We hit back much harder.
Mike Tobin is reporting live out of Tel Aviv for us right now. Mike?
And Sandra, Iran has been firing at its neighbors. For the first time in this round of fighting, hostile aircraft have entered Jordanian airspace. The Jordanians say they shot down some 8 missiles. U.S. Embassy staff there was ordered to shelter in place. No injuries. The U.S. hit multiple targets, including bridges on rail lines that the U.S. says were used by Iran to transport weapons. Those were hit. U.S. Central Command says some 90 different targets were taken out in Iran last night. 80 were hit the night before. Now, Iranian state media reported explosions in southern port cities. Explosions in Bashir, home to that massive nuclear power plant complex. The U.S. says the targets were on the coast. The power plant was not hit. We've got video of explosions in the port city Khabakar. Iranian counterstrikes went into Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain. Kuwait says they shot down 3 ballistic missiles, a cruise missile, and 10 drones. The Kuwaitis also say 1 person was hit by debris. President Trump says the Iranians have been calling...
Dude, we already went over this. They downplay the damage every time. Whatever they say, just don't believe it, man. Iran is hitting all of their targets at this point. Like, we've seen this happen so many times now, where they come out and say, Iran didn't hit anything. It didn't hit anything. Nobody got hurt. It didn't hit anything. And then a month later, the satellite images reveal, oh yeah, Iran hit everything they fucking said they were hitting. I mean, just trust the Iranian sources at this point. Don't listen to the American sources. They are always lying. Whatever they say, assume the opposite.
Him and want to make a deal.
We've already won militarily. They have very little left, and they want to make a deal so badly. They called a little while ago. They want to make a deal so badly. I just don't know if they're worthy of making a deal. I don't know that they're going to honor the deal. That's the problem.
The 6-day funeral for the late Grand Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is now in its final day. Mourners in the casket crossed into Iraq, the holy cities of Najaf and Karbala. They're back.
By the way, I don't even think people understand that, like, there is a significant portion of the Iranian public who thought signing the MOU at all was a mistake, and not a mistake as in like we need to get out of this war completely. They thought it was a mistake in that they wanted to keep firing missiles. They wanted to keep going. They wanted to keep hitting Israel. They wanted to keep hitting all of the bases in the region. They wanted to keep fucking going past the point that America ran out of its missile interceptors, which is what I said to do at the very fucking beginning. And at some point, Iran is going to have to do that because there's no other way out of this. I was thinking like the best strategy would be to like wait for America to run out of missile interceptors. It would have been another 6 weeks of war that they would have had to do. And then after America and Israel ran out of missile interceptors, pummel the shit out of them for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Just nope, we're not coming to the table. America would be begging for a ceasefire over and over again. Just say, nope, we're not done yet. And just keep going for another 2 to 3 weeks, completely decimate everything in fucking Israel, all of these military bases around the region, all of these collaborators in the Gulf states, completely decimate them for 2 to 3 weeks, and then be like, okay, I think we can come to the table now. Because basically you're going to have to do that anyway, it feels like at this point. America is going to keep trying to drag this thing out forever. unless you actually go back, and they're every single time, man, every single time they prove the hardliners right. And the people who were out there protesting, there were millions of people who were out protesting against signing the MOU because they didn't think it was a good deal, or they didn't think that they should trust America, right? And every single time, America just proves the hardliners right over and over and over again.
Back in Iran today with a burial for Khamenei planned in the town of Mashhad, where he was born, where he received his religious education. Iranian notables, even one general who was marked for death, all made an appearance at this funeral. The no-show is the new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. His security staff said security concerns were the reason he did not show up, but there's a lot of speculation that he was badly disfigured in this first round of fighting. Sandra, back to you.
Got it. Mike Tobin with the update out of Tel Aviv for us. Mike, thank you.
Sandra, over here on the board, we'll show you what we can here on the maps for what's happened this week. All right, you go back to Monday and Tuesday, July 6th and 7th. There were 3 different ships, 3 different vessels that were passing along this Oman coastline here, okay? And 3 of those were targeted by the Iranians, and that's what helped precipitate the U.S. response. So 2 nights back to back. We'll show you in a moment what they were going after, the U.S. military was. But if you look at this, the U.S. strikes in July 7 and 8. And just looking at this map, this is the entire coastline, Persian Gulf, Strait of Hormuz. All these targets up to the border with Iraq have been now in the sights of the U.S. military. By the way, this is no small coastline. It's about 950 miles long. The comparable geography would be the coastline of California. That's how big of an area we're talking about. The Iranians, in turn, yet again have responded, hitting sites in Qatar. The Navy's 5th Fleet in Bahrain was a target as well. And here in Kuwait, where the U.S. Army has a big installation there, the Kuwaitis are saying last night 3 ballistic missiles they intercepted, 1 cruise missile, and 10.
It's interesting, the choices, right, of where they decided to hit. You got Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait. Now, Bahrain and Kuwait have been getting hit this entire time. Qatar is the new mediator, right? So that's interesting that they're getting hit. It might be a signal to Qatar that they're aligning too much with American interests. I don't really know. But you'll notice that they didn't hit Saudi Arabia at all, and they didn't hit the UAE at all. And we've heard talks about some of these countries coming to like kiss the ring of Iran since this started. I'm trying to remember in particular, and I don't want to be wrong, so I don't know for sure if these were the 2 that did it, but I would guess that they're being very strategic about which places they're deciding to hit right now. Iran is, because I'm sure there are plenty of backroom deals that are happening right now between all of the Gulf states and Iran.
Hostile drones from Iran hit overnight over here on the big board here. So from July 7 and July 8, this is what we're looking at in the Persian Gulf and what the U.S. military is trying to control. Swing on over here. Night number 1, 2 nights ago, you had 80 Iranian military targets in their sites. They include coastal radar sites that I just showed you over there.
Oh, my God.
Some of these command and control networks and the anti...
Dude, this is just... Have any of you ever read 1984, where they just like they just release every day the stats of all of the things that they blew up and all of the people that they killed or whatever? Like it comes from like the Ministry of Truth or whatever, like, and everybody just reads in the newspaper how many of the vaguely Eurasian people that were blown up and killed. That's what I feel like I'm watching at this point. Like it's just, they're just listing the propaganda stats given to us from the Ministry of Truth to make everybody, you know, rile everybody up and feel good and feel like we're actually doing anything when we're not doing fucking anything.
Ship missile capabilities. Then last night we had about 90 Iranian military targets, including a bridge in northeastern Iran, but primarily the similar sites here now: air defense systems, coastal surveillance assets, and these naval capabilities. There have been dozens of these small Iranian boats that have been taken out just this week alone. I'm going to bring in Dan Hoffman to join Sandra and me. And sir, good morning to you. Are we back at war?
Yeah, I think we are. Look, when Iran chose to strike those oil tankers transiting the Strait of Hormuz, that was a deliberate provocation. Iran had to have anticipated the United States response. And they did that because a state of war against the United States and against Israel and our Gulf allies, that's oxygen for this hardline IRGC regime in Iran. I think they also want to test the United States by driving up oil prices and disrupting trade, global trade, with an eye towards gaining some leverage in their interaction with the United States.
Dude, come on. I was kind of zoned out at the beginning, so maybe I missed it, but this is just not what's happening. What's happening is America, like what I said at the beginning, America is trying to claw back some form of like victory or some sort of like control over the Strait of Hormuz that they definitively lost through war. That's not possible. War is where you figure out what your real capabilities are. The cessation of war will not change that. Like Iran has already proven that they control the strait. So what America is doing here is they're telling, certain ships to be like, hey, you got to go through this new route that we're doing around Oman so that we can, so that we can try to claw back some control of the strait from Iran, at least this bottom half near Oman's coastline. And so they're trying to do that. And Iran is saying, nah, you're not going to get to do that. We're going to fire on them. And so I don't know. It's just bad analysis, man. But whatever. That's what they're here for.
I don't even know if we'll see negotiations as were planned before these strikes in Islamabad on 11 July. But Iran sees this as an opportunity, especially in advance of the midterms, to gain some leverage.
Dan, this is a post from the Institute of the Study of War late yesterday. Iran's behavior after the latest U.S. strikes indicates that the Iranian regime values control over the strait more than avoiding renewed escalation with the United States. To your point about us needing to keep this...
Yeah, why wouldn't they? Look, from a narrative perspective, Trump gets to spin his, during a ceasefire, Trump and American propagandists like these people that you're watching right here on Fox News get to spin their little narratives of America actually is super powerful and America isn't a paper tiger and America is actually just as capable as you remember in your little head, like you were told by your teacher back in 5th grade. America is the best country in the world and you are a special little snowflake for thinking that. They get to say all that shit during ceasefire because the realities aren't front and fucking center. The truth of the matter is that during the hot war, Iran was even in a better position than they are right now. Iran was keeping up tit for tat and even going past the controlling and dominating the escalation of what they were doing. They were hitting all of their fucking targets constantly. So you get to pretend all this stuff right now, but the moment we go into a hot war again, a complete and full hot war where Iran is, striking at the same capability level that they were before, it will very quickly be shown exactly how little America can do about this. I don't know, man. This is just ridiculous, dude.
Straight open. And continuing to block Iran's oil exports. It seems to me what you're saying is this needs to be a continuous stop of any flow of money to Iran.
It does. We gave Iran an economic enticement by allowing them to export oil at market prices for some time. And Iran made it clear that they were not interested in negotiating in good faith. In fact, as successful as our kinetic strikes have been, we have not induced a change in the regime's behavior. Now, we changed the regime by launching decapitation strikes, and I'm sure that those potentially are on the table again, further decapitation strikes. If these guys don't want to negotiate, maybe the next round of
Oh yeah, that'll work so well. Decapitation strikes have always worked so well. All the history that we have of that in the Middle East, in Israel, in Palestine, in Lebanon, in Hezbollah, in all of these different places where we've done decapitation strikes. Yeah, it'll definitely work this time. Why the fuck didn't it work last time, asshole? Ask yourself that question. Why the fuck didn't it work last time? Why do you think it's going to work this time? It's the definition of insanity, man. I know that's not a real quote or whatever. I think it's attributed to Einstein, but it's yeah, you're doing the same fucking thing over and over again and expecting something different to happen. It's fucking stupid.
Leaders will. But I think that's at the heart of it, Sandra, that we need to ensure that the Strait of Hormuz is open, that we're doing that independently, while simultaneously blockading Iran from exporting oil.
You can't do it. There's nothing you can do. You already tried. You already fucking tried. What are you doing? What are you saying? Why didn't you do it last time? What's going on? This is stupid.
Okay, let's take it a step deeper. Wall Street Journal editorial board. Trump tells the truth about Iran. He's right that Iran's regime has been wasting his time. It's the best in the world at that. 20 days in the memorandum of understanding, 60-day negotiation period, nuclear talks have hardly begun. Dan, we saw a different side of this president when he was...
I can't. I'm done. That's Fox News, everybody. Your Orwellian Ministry of Truth, okay? Go, enjoy it. Eat your slop, everybody. Boomers everywhere. Eat your fucking slop. Keep eating it. Okay, what do we got? I got some more X.com posts about Iran that I'm going to go over now. This is from Dropside. It says, oil tanker traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has slowed to a near standstill after renewed U.S. strikes on Iran triggered Iranian retaliation across the Gulf. Reuters reports only 2 tankers transited the waterway early Thursday, while some ships have switched off public tracking systems and insurers are advising companies to pause voyages. Yeah, aka we're just closing it again. And look, this is what I think is gonna fucking be like... Is this what a new forever war looks like? I don't know. This is kind of what it feels like, is that this is our new forever war. Where we are going to, like, we are going to force Iran to close off the Strait of Hormuz until our petroleum reserves get so unbearably low that it ends up being like, okay, the economy is going to collapse in 2 weeks if we don't like open it back up or whatever. And then we say, okay, hey, flip, that was just a joke, man. It was just a prank. What are you talking about? Let's get back to the MOU. And then we're going to go into this like fake farcical peace process. And then we're going to, stay on that. Let maybe like 20, 30 ships get out, get a bunch of oil at least out onto the open seas so that they can slowly make their way to try to stop the bleeding or whatever. And then we just get back into a hot war again. Like, it just feels like this is what a forever war looks like at this point. And so I don't know, man. I don't fucking know. I just don't know. Like, Iran is going to have to close the Strait of Hormuz again. And essentially it has. 2 tankers transited yesterday. It's closed, okay? It's closed until further notice. Iran has closed it. God, man. Iran's health ministry says U.S. airstrikes in the past 2 days have killed at least 14 people and wounded 78. Iran struck back early this morning. The Iranian army said its drones targeted a Patriot missile battery in Kuwait, an early warning satellite antenna site in Qatar, fuel storage for the U.S. military in Bahrain. The IRGC said it separately targeted key infrastructure at Kuwait's Arif Jan and Ali Al Salam bases, in Bahrain at Sheikh Isa Air Base and Jafar, home of the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet, the command running the Hormuz operations. Yeah, I mean, just assume, like I said before, just assume that they hit everything at this point. That's what was shown from the satellite images after this last, the last hot conflict, is that everything Iran said that they were hitting, they were fucking hitting. Their success rate was like getting ungodly high at the end. I think like, I don't know, his like 70, 80% or something, Just assume that they're hitting everything. Let's see what these videos are. You can see some smoke coming up in the background. It's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can pull this into a separate tab. I guess it's a little bit bigger. Let's see what this one is. Oh, was that it? Or, no, I don't know. I saw some smoke. That one's hard to see too. What's this one? Oh, there's an explosion. Okay, well, we saw one hit there. But they've also been like since the initial strikes, they have been really locking down social media in a lot of these places to make sure that none of these videos make it to the airwaves. So, okay. This is from Iran Observer. I've been trusting this account a lot on X for breaking news related to Iran. They were right on a lot of these things that were happening. So, breaking, Iran has deployed hundreds of special forces near Iraqi Kurdistan. Ground operations in that area could be imminent. This is the only thing we haven't tried yet, man, is a ground invasion. I'm guessing maybe like arming Kurdish militias. I know they tried to do that, and the Kurds said no last time. I don't know if they gave them more incentive or something this time, or if America is just going to send their own homegrown terrorists to go try to take over Iran from Iraqi Kurdistan. So we'll see. I'm still not sure if Trump wants to face the political consequences of having a bunch of, our homegrown corn-fed guys getting blown to smithereens over in Iran. So we'll see. Breaking. Iran's Parliamentary National Security Commission on clashes with the U.S. We have many options that we did not use even in the 40-day war. Options such as withdrawing from the nuclear proliferation treaty, changing the nuclear doctrine, and closing the Bab el-Mandeb Strait next to the Strait of Hormuz will be considered. Yeah, they never even played this card, by the way, of closing the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which would be like another, I think, 15% or something of global energy that would be choked off. Also, Saudi Arabia has lots of pipelines going over to the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. They could hit some of those pipelines. It'd be very easy to stop Saudi Arabia from shipping traffic through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait if they wanted to. They just haven't played that card yet. So there you go. That's what I got for Iran. That was a crazy video, man. That one got me so heated. That one got me so heated. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. We got, this was just a kind of silly one. I mean, kind of silly. I don't know. We'll see what it's all about, but it just caught my eye. So Yair Netanyahu has legally changed his name to Yonatan Hun. I'm sorry, Hun. Anyway, Yonatan Hun, tax record show. So this was very curious to me because I'm like, why? Why is Netanyahu's son changing his name? By the way, for those who aren't aware, Netanyahu's son, I think, lives in Florida, like in Miami or something, because, yeah, God forbid he, has to stay in that shithole fucking country of Israel. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I think that's what he thinks. Like he is like a Westerner through and through, I think. So, and so I'm curious why, like if maybe, here's the thing. I'm going to read this article, but I'm going to my hope is that he is receiving so much shit for having the last name of Netanyahu everywhere he fucking goes. Anytime he pays for something, people spit in his food or treat him like shit, spill coffee on him or whatever. I'm hoping that it's just he's so unpopular that the Netanyahu name is so unpopular that that's what's happening. But honestly, that's probably just hopium. So let's go ahead and read the article and find out. One sec. Let's see what's going on with Yair Netanyahu. Sorry, Yonatan Hun. I'm not a Netanyahu. I'm Yonatan Hun. Let's see. Haaretz says PM's eldest son appeared in 2026 filings with a new name under the same ID number for reasons unknown. New surname is a reference to his maternal grandfather's original name. Yair Netanyahu, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's eldest son, has legally changed his name to Yonatan Hun. I don't know why. I just love that name. It sounds like almost I know that this is probably like a Hebrew name or something, but it sounds to me almost like I don't know, almost like a Texan or somebody, some sort of cowboy or something. Oh, you don't want to mess with Yonatan Hun over there. Anyway, according to a Wednesday report by Haaretz citing tax documents, the report said that Netanyahu's 2026 Israeli tax records were filed under his new name, but with the same ID number and same address as his 2024 tax statements, which were filed under his birth name. Official name changes in Israel are irreversible for 7 years. It is unclear whether Netanyahu intends to be identified under the new name or has changed it for other purposes. On social media, he maintains his original name. Yonatan is the name of Yair's uncle, the prime minister's brother. Yonatan Yoni Netanyahu was famously killed in 1976 during Operation Entebbe to rescue Israeli hostages held in Uganda. I don't know anything about that operation, by the way. But if Israel was involved, Hun is the original surname of his maternal grandfather, Shmuel ben Artzi, who was known as Samuel Hun before he Hebraicized his name. Is that a word? Hebraicized? Interesting. According to the report, the premier's eldest son has used the surname Hun in various social media profiles for several years, though it was unclear why he decided to change it officially now. Netanyahu 34 is a firebrand right-wing activist and podcaster. Wouldn't have it any other way, baby. And has resided in Florida for the past several years. He is known for his provocative social media presence and association with far-right European and American politicians and political figures. I'm going to be honest. I don't think he's really that prevalent. You rarely hear from him. He's like a Twitter troll, basically. Like, that's my understanding, is he's like a big like online Twitter guy who might have a big following on Twitter, but like I don't think in the real world he has any like clout or anything. Netanyahu's other son, Avner, also officially changed his name in the past, appearing on real estate records in London as Avi Siegel after buying an apartment there, a legal alias he adopted based on his paternal grandmother's maiden name. He said last year that the name change was prompted by security concerns as he studied in the British capital. Last year, the name change was prompted by security concerns as he studied in the British capital. Dude, wait, Netanyahu himself changed his name to Benjamin Ben Nitai when studying at MIT in the 1970s. He later said he had done so to make it easier for Americans to pronounce his name. Dude, I'm like, I think I'm right, man. I think I'm right about what happened here. Security concerns is like, okay, like that he is not under any actual threat, I don't think. Like, honestly, I don't think anyone's going to kill him or anything. I think that what's happening is people just yell at him everywhere he fucking goes. And like people, and this is the other guy, by the way. So, I mean, I'm kind of extrapolating, but like, I would guess that this is probably the same thing. I think people are just spitting in his food and shit, man. And he's like tired of it. So he's changing his name so that he can get different like credit cards and shit. That's what I think is happening. And you know what? I'm going to stick to that theory. Okay. You can come for me if you want. Yair. I'm sorry. Yonatan Hun. Yonatan Hun. Okay, Yonatan. I'm done with this story. I'm done with you, Yonatan. Such a funny name to me. Okay, serious shit. Do I have to? Nah, I'm skipping the serious shit. I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry. There's been another ICE murder. I don't want to fucking talk about it, okay? I'm sorry. Not happening. I only got another, 20 minutes that I plan on being online right now. So I want to get to something more fun. So maybe next time, like I said, I'm kind of I'm kind of still determining how much I want to do this or whatever. So it might not be tomorrow. My schedule is going to be a little bit in flux for the time being. Maybe I should change my profile, because I think on my YouTube profile, I still have it set saying that I streamed 4 to whatever every day. So maybe I should change it to say sometimes. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about McConnell. Is he dead? Is he brain dead? I would argue that he has been brain dead for about 5 years, but yeah. So for those unaware, Mitch McConnell, the granddaddy of the modern conservative movement, before MAGA, right? MAGA took over. Mitch McConnell led the conservative like the conservative movement was led by Mitch McConnell towards what we now have with MAGA fascism. Mitch McConnell, he's a senator from Kentucky, I think. I think he's the Senate Majority Leader, if I remember, or was. Maybe he's not anymore since he's like basically brain dead. I don't know. But he's had a lot of health issues. He's one of our 90-year-olds that like, I don't know why it is in America, but instead of putting 90-year-olds in like old folk homes, we like to put them in like the Senate and in the House of Representatives. It's just something we do. I don't know why we do it. I don't know. Like it's like having like unnecessarily huge trucks or whatever. I'm like, I don't know why we do it. It just happens. Okay. Like I don't know why there's an Applebee's every like fucking 5 minutes. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why we do these things, but for some reason we do. And so, yeah, instead of putting old people in like an old person home or taking care of them, we like to put them into places of immense power, as seen by, and this is, by the way, is something that is bipartisan. We have a bipartisan consensus of putting the oldest motherfuckers alive into positions of extreme power in our country. And McConnell is one of them. Now, you may know him from, let me see if I can pull it up. Mitch McConnell. Video. Where is it? This one. This has to be it. Yeah, this is from 2 years ago. So this is from 2 years ago. Let's watch this first, just so everybody can. I just want everybody to remember who Mitch McConnell is, real quick. Let's just start. Like I don't need this guy telling me what's about to happen. Let's just watch Mitch McConnell give one of his more entertaining speeches here.
And a string of.
Just a few moments into his weekly news conference, Minority Leader Mitch...
I don't need the editorializing.
McConnell stopped talking mid-sentence.
No, this makes it worse. 1 second.
And for more... is related to being sick,
dehydrated. Oh my gosh. Okay, here, this has to be it. I just hate the editorializing. This is so much better if it is not like, if we get to just like watch it, straight from the Mitch's mouth.
Everyone, we're on a path to finishing the NDA.
Yeah, okay.
This week has been good bipartisan cooperation.
Oh yeah, cool. Love it.
And
bipartisan.
A string of...
Yeah. Yeah. Were you gonna finish that?
Are you good, Mitch?
Okay, Mitch. Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press?
Nah. That's me at like if I get a little too drunk at the bar and I'm trying to like tell a story or something and I'm like completely incoherent and then I'm just like and someone comes up and they're like, "You good? Are you good? Are you okay?" I'm like Anyway, now okay, this may come as a shock to you. This may come as a complete and total shock to you, but apparently he's not in good health right now. Because Mitch McConnell, he has been AWOL. So apparently he was found he was found like, I think, he had, I think, like a heart attack or something, if I remember correctly, a few days ago, if I think, and he was not found until like hours later. and I think he was like non-responsive or something. I don't know. But anyway, they took him to the hospital. And yeah, so I know this is very shocking to you, but that guy that we just watched, he's not doing too good. So let's go ahead and watch this video by MS Now, and let's see what's going on with Mitch McConnell's health. Hopefully we'll find something out.
Mr. President, have you spoken to Senator Mitch McConnell since his hospitalization? No. How's he doing? Do you have any idea how he's doing?
I have no idea how he's doing.
Well, MS Now congressional reporter Michael Schnell has been on top of this story. Charlie is still with us. Michael, this is now bipartisan. Does that change things?
It could, Alicia. It could certainly put some pressure on his office to release more information or just simply say what brought him into the hospital and why he is still there right now. But up until this point, we have not gotten that kind of information. Where things stand right now are not very different from when I spoke to you yesterday, and it's because we still have not gotten any updates from Senator McConnell's office. What we do know is that Senate Majority Leader John Thune and the second highest ranking Senate Republican, John Barrasso, they both said that they spoke with McConnell earlier this week. They had about 20-minute phone calls each. They spoke about a number of times.
No fucking way, bro. This dude can't even talk like when he's just out and about on the regular. You're telling he can't talk for like, we just watched a clip where he froze mid speech after talking for like 30 seconds. Like, this guy can't even talk in real life. Like, I don't even remember the last time I've seen McConnell come on the fucking television, because he's being hidden from us in the same way fucking Biden was. I don't believe that shit any more than I believe, like, do you remember back whenever Biden was like clearly fucking like brain dead, and like they were like, no, you guys don't understand. You guys don't understand. He fucks his wife, guys. He fucks his wife so fucking hard. And you guys, like, come on, man. Could he fuck his wife that hard if he was brain dead? Come on. Like, I believe that shit more than this, man. You had a 10-minute conversation with this dude? No fucking way, man. He is dead. He is brain dead at the very least. There is literally no way. That is ridiculous.
Topics, but still no update on his condition. Yesterday, there was that letter from Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky asking McConnell's office for more information. And now, as you mentioned, we are hearing from some Republicans who say they really don't know what's going on with him, and there is some concern. You just spoke about Marlin Stutzman. I also want to show you some comments from Brett Guthrie. He is a Republican who represents part of Kentucky in the House of Representatives. He said he's texted with McConnell, but there's still some question about what that actually means. Take a listen.
This isn't a voice communication, and you haven't seen him.
Well, I haven't talked to him personally.
So how do you know that the texts themselves are actually coming from him?
Well, I've never known anybody to text for him when we text back and forth. So I just absolutely assume that was from him. So I'm going to be fine.
Come on, bro. Yeah, no, 100%. He has an aide doing all of his texting, 100%. Even before, like, this latest thing where he like died on the floor of his house for a couple hours or whatever, he definitely had someone doing that shit. You mean to tell me this dude fucking like is texting you back like coherent messages all the time? This dude, as soon as he is outside of like the halls of Congress, he gets put into like a medicated coma every night. Like, there's literally no way.
Fine, it's what I got back, the response, and I've talked to people on his staff, and I haven't directly talked to him, but I understood he talked to John Thune yesterday or the day before, my understanding, Barrasso and some others. I do believe he's going to recover, and I hope he's back in Washington soon. We need him back.
Now, Alicia, the fact that we are discussing and debating whether or not a text from somebody's phone number is actually a text from them, I think speaks volumes about the place we're in right now when it comes to Senator McConnell's condition. One more thing I'll leave you with. We've gotten the first indication of some questions, or some pressure, rather, for Senator McConnell to potentially step aside and resign. There's a new tweet out from Congresswoman Nancy Mace, the Republican from South Carolina. She writes on X.
No, this is one of the theories that I've heard, is that the reason that they don't want him to like step down before, I can't remember, like there was like a time frame or something, was because they didn't want like Thomas Massey to run to replace him, because he has like, you know, that populist, like he has like that populist backing from some of the like disaffected MAGA voters and stuff that I think that like he could have a chance. I'm not even sure though, really, to be honest, but I've heard that theory floated around, and that's just a theory, so I don't know if I 100% buy that. But I mean, I can't really understand why else they would be doing this though, other than some sort of cynical ploy to maintain like power or something, like maintain that seat with like Mitch McConnell's chosen next like replacement or whatever. Like I honestly don't see any other, like I can't come up with any other theory why they would keep him, like, you know, keep his brain dead like ass alive if they really if they didn't have some sort of cynical political reason.
Quote, if McConnell is in as bad a shape as Biden ever was or worse, he needs to step aside. This charade can't continue. We can't demand of others what we won't demand of ourselves. So we or
in the Republican Party? Are you kidding me? That's your whole fucking thing. Their whole thing is like free speech for me, not for thee. Like we can do we can you know, unitary executive theory for us, but not for you. Like, we can gerrymander, but you can't. Like, come on, bro. Like, let's be for real. Or sorry, come on, sis. This is crazy. You know what party you're in.
Alicia, coming up on that 1 month mark since Mitch McConnell was brought to the hospital. Again, still no word on his condition and what brought him there in the first place, but certainly the bipartisan pressure for more information, very much so, rising right now.
Charlie, is it telling that the president didn't make it onto Mitch McConnell's call list?
Well, yes, obviously, Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump have not been on speaking terms, I think, for some time. But, you know, just, you know, I hate having to agree with Nancy Mace here. But if we're going to have a gerontocracy, I think the minimal standard.
I hate liberals. That look she just gave. That's
should be a little bit of transparency. If we're going to have people who are in their 80s, who are in, you know, even in the presidency, in the Senate, or on the U.S. Supreme Court.
Wait, let's go back a sec.
If we're going to have people who are in their 80s,
a little bit more.
If we're going to have a gerontocracy, I think the minimal standard should be a little bit of transparency. If we're going to
okay, we don't have to. That's the thing. We don't have to have a gerontocracy. Like, we don't have to, man. We can put age limits on this fucking shit, okay? We can say nobody over the age of, I don't know, like, let's say nobody over the age of 60. Is that a good, like nobody over the age of 60 can run. How about that? You have to be under 60 to be on the ballot. How about that? That means if you get elected at 59, then you can stay in office until like 60, until you're 64, but then you're done, right? Like, I think that that's a fairly reasonable restriction that we can put on there. And yes, that might cause some good people like Bernie Sanders to be forced out, okay? I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that trade-off because God damn it, I just want new people flowing through this thing. I want to have, you know, the power. I think that the cost benefit there is worth it. I understand that like you could maybe do some more complex thing of like, you have to take a cognitive test and anybody who fails the cognitive test can't run for office again or whatever, right? Like, you could make it more complicated like that, but to be honest, I think just keeping it nice and simple, you have to be under 60 to run for office or whatever. I think that that's a perfectly reasonable boundary that we can put on it. And that's kind of my opinion on that. Let's see what else I got here. I forgot what else I had. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he called.
Scott Jennings. Okay, notorious truth teller, the most truthful person who has ever existed, Scott Jennings. He has something to tell us about his best friend, Mitch McConnell. Let's go ahead and see what Scott Jennings has to say. Notorious truth teller.
Yeah, he called me this morning before I did my radio show. We talked for about 17 minutes. Yeah? He talked a lot about the situation with Iran. Talked a little bit about Ukraine and what's going on in Europe. I told him I'd been to the Teddy Roosevelt Library. We talked a little bit about the history of the vice presidency and how Roosevelt...
Dude, this is so pathetic, man. This is so pathetic. This is just as pathetic as the people who came out and lied for Biden the whole time. This is just as pathetic. And it's just good to know that we have such bipartisan consensus on trying to maintain, like, trying to... I can't believe that this is anything other than, like, a science experiment. Like a science experiment that, like, I don't know, the universe is trying to play or trying to figure out, like, what is the average age that we can get the Senate or the House of Representatives or whatever. Like, what is the average age, like, we can get it up to? I like, we're going to see how high we can get that number. Like, that's the only thing that makes sense. There's no other reason that this could be happening. And yeah, I'm calling bullshit on this, Scott Jennings, just so you know.
Transformed that in the modern presidency, a little history of the Senate. I mean, it was a wide-ranging conversation. I talked to him often. I hadn't talked to him since he'd been in. I'd gotten a few text messages from him, but I hadn't spoken to him. So it was good to hear his voice. Voice sounded strong and sounded like he was keeping up with the news to me.
Did you ask him how he was feeling?
Yeah, he said he was feeling...
And here's the thing. This would be so easy to dispel. It would be so easy. You guys don't understand how easy it would be. Just get one little camera, and go in, like, someone go in there, a reporter or whoever, go in there, take a picture of him doing, like, a little thumbs up, and have the reporter say, I verified it. I was there. He was fine. That's all you need to do. That's literally all it would take. It would take like 2 seconds. Okay. Just go do it. Like, honestly. Now, I'm going to be quite honest. So I've lost so much trust in the media that sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I would even trust their reporting saying that. But if they had a picture of it, or if they had a short video of an interview with him, like, even if it's just like a couple questions or something, that would be an easy way to dispel this shit.
Okay. Obviously well enough to call me on the phone, and obviously well enough to talk to Barrasso and Thune. Now, look, I'm not qualified to discuss any medical issues or give you any information about that. That's really for him or his staff to do. But, I talk to him from time to time, and I see him from time to time. And, we had a conversation today about the things that we normally talk about, which are news of the day, political stuff.
Did you come away feeling like he's still capable of serving the people of Kentucky as senator?
I came away feeling that he was staying on top of the news. Again, I look, his condition and why he's in the hospital or when he might come out, or look, that's.
Do you know?
There's literally no way that he even knows any of this foreign policy shit. Like normally, man, I'm telling you, he was brain dead before this event happened, man. He was gone. He was donezo. Everything that he did, like, everything that came out of him was like all his eights, man. It is like Biden auto pen shit or whatever, right? There's literally there was no way that he was keeping up. Like, he's like 90, man. He's 90 years old. How old is he for real? I might be exaggerating. Mitch McConnell age. Okay. He's 84. He's 84 fucking years old. Think about your 84-year-old grandma or grandpa, right? I mean, come on. Were they keeping up with foreign policy? Were they having nuanced discussions about the details of, like, Ukraine or whatever? Come on. Let's be real. Like, let's be completely honest here. That's like, there's no way.
Why?
And that's like, he's already had so many health scares, man. Like, I don't know. It's unbelievable. They're asking you to just, like, ignore your own eyes, and we're just going through it again. How many times are they going to do? Like, I'm starting to realize that, like, the political establishment are fucking shameless, man. They are shameless. Like, I learned, I feel like it's the same thing for, like, the Graham Platner thing, where they're like, they're installing someone, like they installed Kamala when they anointed her to be the person that everybody in the DNC has to now vote for, where they just anoint her. And they just did they're doing the same shit in the fucking Platner race. And now I'm like, And now they're doing like the same thing they did with Biden, and now they're doing it here. And it's like they have no fucking shame to even come up with a new thing. They're doing the exact same playbook in the exact same way. They are shameless. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. I think I'm done with this. This is too much. It's getting me heated, and I gotta stop. I gotta calm down. I can't let my cortisol levels get that high. I need to protect this beautiful face. Okay. And my last comment though on this is that I want to see. I'm starting to be curious. What is the average age that we can get the Senate up to? Like, what do we think it is? Average age of the Senate. Come on, Google AI. You can solve this one. 63. Well, independent. Okay. So the average age of the Senate is, the new Senate's median age is 64. Okay, around 65. How high do we think we can get that number, people? I want to see what a 70-year-old average age Senate looks like. Maybe even like 75, man. Let's keep it going. Let's see this experiment through to the end. We're already this far. We're already this far. Come on. What harm could it do? Collapsing democracy through our dysfunctional government. Who cares? Who cares? What's the point? What's the point of any of this shit, man? Ugh.
Bro, you would.
Okay, let's watch one more short video. This one just, I felt like I had to watch it just because it was from Scott Jennings, but this is Hassan, obviously. This isn't Scott Jennings. I don't know if you knew that. I know he's been growing that little beard, which might make you confused a little bit. And he's wearing a suit, which Hassan also wears suits now. So you might be a little bit confused, but this is actually Hassan. This is not Scott Jennings. This is Scott Jennings. This is not Scott Jennings. Anyway, Hassan Piker, Fox. I think I watched this one when it happened. Fox News is rape TV. It's a pro-rape network. Let's go ahead and just watch him say it. I don't need to read the whole thing. We'll see.
Bro, you would think this is the wokeness hour and not fucking Hitler's favorite television broadcast, Fox News.
Hitler's favorite television broadcast is the best, man. I'm telling you, sometimes you want to know what one of the things that made me be like, maybe I'm not gonna stream as much is I've been watching Hassan streams more often. I'm like, how effortlessly funny he is a lot of the time. Like how he can just like, I don't know how, like his ability to just like come up with little things like that, like little phrases like that is like crazy to me. Like he is very, very talented at this. Anyway, I'm done glazing Hassan because I don't need to do that.
Bro,
but
you would think this is the wokeness hour and not fucking Hitler's favorite television broadcast, Fox News. Fox News is rape TV, okay? It's the pro-rape network. The candidates that it puts forward and defends, many of which are rapists. The hosts, some of the most prominent hosts on the network, were such prolific rapists that the other women that were on the network had successful.
Who was that guy that got Me Too'd out of there? The old ass one, O'Reilly, right? Bill O'Reilly. Killing my career, Bill O'Reilly. Yeah, he was pushed out because of his like rape allegations. Like this is true. This is just facts, man.
He sued them. Okay, the idea that this is now all of a sudden these fucking liberal blowhards endlessly pontificating about.
Yeah, for real. I thought that these guys were pro-rape. I didn't think they were libs. Like, libs are the anti-rape people. But libs are the ones who are doing all the Me Too shit, right? Like, why are they being so lib-coded in this one? They're being all like, I can't believe that they chose a rapist for their Senate candidate in Maine. I mean, that's so bad or whatever. I'm like, you're right. That's your shit. And now you're complaining about it. That is kind of crazy. It's like, I don't know. it's very liberal coded. Liberals are the ones who are against rape, and conservatives are the ones that are pro rape. That's what I've gotten from watching politics and like engaging in politics in America for the past like 5 years or whatever.
The dangers of sexual violence and sexual assault, they're one step removed from starting to talk about fucking rape culture. One of their rapist hosts is now the fucking Secretary of War.
That's true.
Pete Hegseth also has a Nazi tattoo on his motherfucking chest.
Here, wait, let me pull that up. Yeah, he does. Pete Hegseth Nazi tattoo. Oh my gosh, I hate Google. Okay, here we go. Sorry, another shirtless person. Yeah. Yeah, that's a Nazi tattoo. It's associated with the like there's like a lot of the people in neo-Nazi groups have this exact same tattoo. Like it is associated with Nazism. It's more accurately a Crusader tattoo, but in my opinion, Crusaders were Nazis. So, you know, there's that too. But anyway.
A Nazi tattoo that actually got dinged by the National Guard, which stopped him from participating at the inauguration as security detail. Something he wrote about in a motherfucking book. And he was such a prolific rapist that his own mother sent him an email begging him to stop raping.
I don't remember
that
this.
guy with a drinking problem also is now the Secretary of War. That guy used to be a host on this network for years. And they're over here talking about, wow, I can't believe it. The Democrats did this. I can't believe the Democrats did this. Part of me is like I think it's unconscionable to have a candidate like this. But the other part of me is like, these guys are always going to win politics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just.
Well, it's easy to win when you don't have when you don't have any morals or anything. I mean, that's true. That's true. Let's see what else we got. I don't know. I haven't done a scrolling around Twitter section in a little bit, and I just kind of feel like keeping going right now. Near Tandon. Oh, she's doing her best, man. She's doing her best. She's one of the people, I talked a lot about the Platner shit, but like, she's one of the people who is trying to associate Platner with like every single left populist or whatever. It's crazy. Brian Grimm says, maybe he will be next is such a disgusting thing to say about Abdul El Sayed with nothing but insinuation. Could not be more clear how little Nira actually cares about the facts here or about the rape victims here. Like, let's be real. These people are all cynical operatives, man. They do not give a shit. Like they do not give a shit about about the actual victims of rape. Like they only care so much as they can utilize it for their political goals. And I need people to be aware of this because look, as things get worse and as the liberals begin to align more and more with fascists, we're going to get a lot more of this shit, okay? We're going to get a lot more of this. And here's what always happens is they will weaponize things like feminism, things like racism, or like anti-racism. Like they will weaponize these sorts of ideologies or like the good nature that a lot of people have to think I'm a good person because I'm a feminist or I'm a good person because I'm not a racist or whatever. And they're going to use those things in order to cynically try to stamp down any sort of populist movement that will actually change material conditions for the working class. It's going to get they're like, you haven't seen nothing yet. You seen what they're doing with Graham Platner right now? You haven't seen nothing yet. Okay. You haven't seen nothing because here's the thing, at least with Graham Platner's like, that's like, I still believe that was a real, like, credible accusation of rape, but like eventually it's going to get to the point like what Israel does for like the ICC and shit, where they just make up a rape like allegation. They'll find someone to pay to make up a rape allegation out of whole cloth against any sort of left populist candidate. And, without any without any real evidence or whatever, and then just use that as a way to try to discredit them and stuff. Like, that's what's going to happen, man. And people need to continue to be like, you can't just blindly accept them. They're going to weaponize this against you if you blindly accept these things, which I'm not. The Platner one seems uncontrovertibly true, right? But I think that they're going to become less and less, if they're going to actually use, like, falsify these sorts of like situations, which I do believe that they will do eventually. You just got to be careful, and you got to use your brain and use your use your understanding of how nasty and cynical politics is in this fucking country. So let's see. Caroline Kwan says, FYI, Amber Heard was a domestic abuse victim who had plenty of evidence documenting the abuse she experienced, plus a story that reflected well-established patterns of interpersonal abuse, yet plenty of libs leftists participated in the reactionary, heavily coordinated smear campaign against her without hesitation and still don't seem to care or recognize how devastating the effects have been. We are experiencing a period of cultural regression without any reckoning of how we got here. I don't know if that's applicable to the current situation, Caroline. I'm going to be honest. This is different. Like, there's a difference between cultural and political, like the world of like culture and the world of politics. Like, I mean, okay, they're connected. They are interconnected, but one is downstream of the other. The cultural world is downstream of politics. So I don't know. I don't know about that personally. This person seems cool, at least from what they're saying.
I'm Shama Sawant, and I approve this message. I am running as an independent socialist for the U.S. Congress because we are getting screwed over by both the Democratic and Republican parties, which serve the billionaires and multimillionaires.
Hell
we need
yeah.
a new party for the working class.
Oh, new
I was
party.
an independent socialist city council member in Seattle for 10 years, and I used my office to build militant mass movements. There will be no backroom deals with corporations or their...
I thought she was saying there will be no backrooms. Which I guess you could read the Backrooms as like an anti-capitalist sort of movie or whatever if you want. But no, she said no backroom deals. So I was just reading ahead by reading the subtitles.
Rather than make backroom deals with the billionaires and the city's political establishment, I went to war against them and won historic victories like the nation's highest minimum wage, the Amazon tax, and unprecedented renters' rights. My campaign for Congress is fighting for free healthcare for all funded by taxing the rich, ending all military aid to the Israeli state, shutting down ICE and the detention centers, stopping the data centers and the AI-related mass layoffs, and for national rent control and to massively expand public social housing. I am the only candidate in this race who is fighting for demands like these. I am also the only candidate in this race who has a track record of defeating the billionaires and winning historic victories for working people. My main opponent is 29-year incumbent Democrat Adam Smith, who has voted for tens of billions of dollars for the genocide in Gaza, who has voted to block United Nations food aid to Gaza, and who has voted to give over $906 billion for Trump's wars. Adam Smith has also voted to create and fund ICE to slash hundreds of billions of dollars from Medicare and Medicaid funding and to bail out the billionaires after the 2008 Great Recession. Adam Smith needs to go. Look, working people are angry. They understand that capitalism is a steaming pile of shit and they're looking for fighters. My city council office turned Seattle politics upside down to win breakthrough victories for working people. Join my campaign now so we can do the same in the US Congress. I have a message for Jeff Bezos and his class. We are coming for you and your rotten system.
Oh yeah.
Solidarity.
Oh, I loved it, man. I don't know who this person is, but I would love it if she was DSA aligned. I don't know. She's talked about a new party, so I'm wondering if she's running third party or something. I don't know. So anyway, no, she seemed cool. I like that. That's Sacramento. I don't care about that. Anyway, Mike from PA responding to the Platner video. This video confirms for me the exact reason he thought he could actually win a Senate race with as much baggage as he has. Severe narcissistic personality disorder. Even now, he's pointing blame outwardly with not 1 ounce of regret over the way he misled or mistreated people. I'm just going to say he also in no way used his leverage to try to influence the direction of the new candidate replacement with his leverage, which is the least he could fucking do. So many people, this is Emma Vigeland, so many people in the national press seem motivated to paint Maine voters as a bunch of dumb hogs who were hypnotized by Platner's voice and didn't care about taxing billionaires and cutting arms sales to Israel. I wonder why they'd want to foreclose these conversations. Good point. Cavernical really was in line when he said Noah Sampson was the only white American leftist who does not like Graham Platner. I mean, I don't think that's true. I guess I was just skeptical of him. I was skeptical of him, but he was still a better candidate. Like, we don't have to deny that. Like, that's true. He was a better candidate than the opponent. The problem is that there wasn't an actual left to organize in Maine. We needed an actual left movement that was able to pick a candidate. They weren't capable of doing that. And so this is what we got, you know. It is what it is. Bernie bros are misogynistic. Boo, get better material. Boo. Bernie bros are sexist. Bernie bros are chuds. That's a pretty good one. This is in response to NBC News. Haley Stevens' campaign is seeking to paint Abdul Al-Sayed as a sexist podcast bro. I like that. That's funny. Jesus Christ. So Belgium beat the USA kids game. Do you have one of these? Of course you don't. Imagine bragging that the U.S. has aircraft carriers instead of universal health care. Americans are the most propagandized people on earth. True. What's going on with ICE executing or breaking messages between Emaru and Asmongold have been leaked? What's going on with ICE executing American citizens? Don't worry, kitten. Okay, yay. I think this is interpersonal beef, like drama slop shit. I don't know anything about Emaru. I know who Asmongold is, but I've never really watched him or anything. I guess that hit too close to home. I don't know what they're talking about. Every Mamdani protest consists of 5 dumbass small business owners from Long Island. That tracks. This is that Big Bang lady girl, right? Yeah, I know that she's iffy on. I knew her politics were kind of fucked, I think. Anyway, I cannot ask. This is from Ajax. I cannot be asked to choose between being a liberal and being a Zionist. Actress, author, and neuroscientist Mayim Bialik rejects the false binary facing so many liberal Jews today. Right off the bat, it's impossible to be both of those things. There's no such thing as both of those things. That's like being a liberal racist, right? It's impossible. You can't be a liberal racist. I mean, okay, sorry. You can be a liberal racist, but like I'm talking about the ideals of like liberalism versus racism. Like theoretically, under liberalism, everybody is like equal, right? Under the law, regardless of skin color. That's the ideal of liberalism. And racist is the exact opposite of that. Racism is the exact opposite of that. Trying to merge those two ideologies together doesn't make any sense. Now, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of people who call themselves liberals who are, in fact, racist. They are liberal racists. But I'm distinguishing between like the reality versus like the actual ideology when I say that.
I cannot be asked to choose between being a liberal and being a Zionist. Every term and all of the nomenclature that many of us used to use, especially if we are, liberals or Democrats, right?
Right.
None of that seems relevant anymore. This spectrum on both ends has been pulled so far that it's just a circle.
Totally.
It's like a
Shut
messed up
up.
circle.
Horseshoe theory is so fucking stupid, man. You don't understand anything. You're so dumb. How can you have these fucking degrees and be so fucking stupid, man? This is why I always have believed that like having more degrees, having more credentials does not in any way make you a smart person, man. You are dumb. You cannot critically think. This is stupid. If you believe in horseshoe theory, that is just fucking stupid. Okay. The end results of like leftism and like right-wing authoritarianism are diametrically opposed, right? Like the end goals are diametrically the opposite. There is literally no comparison. It is stupid analysis.
So I don't identify, with many politics of the far left. I mean,
Sure.
And I don't identify with many of the things that the Democratic Party has chosen to prioritize, not just for the Israel reason or the Jewish reason. I think many of us feel very
This fucking music too is, okay, whatever.
confused about our identity as Democrats, because I think the Democratic Party has really let a lot of us down. And saying that earned me accusations of being a Republican in my own home, right? That's how polarized it got.
Right.
That if you questioned what's going on in the Democratic Party,
So she's talking about, I guess, her family. Yeah, because you're fucking, here's the problem. Zionism is fascism. And so is MAGA, like Republicanism is fascism. They're the same fucking thing. They're the same thing. One is like we want Jews to be the ruling majority of this demographic region, and the other one is we want white people to be the demographic majority ruling authority in the United States. They're the exact same thing. The end results of those two things are the exact same thing. Apartheid. That's the like natural conclusion of it.
all of a sudden there's only one solution. That means you're a Republican. No, I got a lot of other choices in between, The principles of liberalism hold true no matter what. I believe in upholding the fallen and healing the sick. I'm okay with also living in a country where some people believe in the welfare system and some people don't. Like I was raised to understand that people have differences of opinion.
Yeah, but what do you actually want, though? Like, what do you want? You're okay with people having these beliefs, but like, are you okay with them in actuality? Are you okay with doing the thing?
That is not meeting my needs, certainly, as a liberal Jew. There's a lot of moral ineptitude. It is egregious to treat one minority population with such disdain, hatred, disrespect, and intensity. When if any other minority group received this kind of...
Is she talking about Palestinians? Who is she talking about?
To treat one minority population with such disdain, hatred, disrespect. That is not meeting my needs, certainly, as a liberal Jew. There's a lot of moral ineptitude. It is egregious to treat one minority population.
I guess she's talking about Palestinians. I don't know.
Disdain, hatred, disrespect, and intensity. When if any other minority group received this kind of attention, there would be
You're Muslims? Is she talking about Muslims in the United? I don't know who she's fucking talking about.
Blood in the streets. That is the most suspicious aspect of what is going on.
Is she talking about Jews? What? I can't, man. Dude, Zionist hysteria. Jesus Christ, dude. You'd think that they're like being rounded up and thrown in camps or something, man. It's insane. There's no systemic bias against Jews in America. I'm sorry. There are like anti-Semites. There's plenty of anti-Semites. There's plenty of neo-Nazis, but there's no systemic, like, you're not going to get denied a home loan because you're a Jew. Okay. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen, right? There is no institutional biases against Jews in this country. I mean, there could be at some point in the future if we keep letting the Nazis take charge. They always end up going after the Jews eventually. Like, as long as we keep letting the Nazis hold on to power, yeah, it's possible, but that's not the reality we live in right now. I thought she was talking about like Muslims or something, or Palestinians, like people who are facing real actual prejudice, like institutional prejudice, who are being deported, who are being like targeted, who are being like Mahmoud Khalil was like literally deported because he was a Palestinian activist. Like, people are like losing jobs and shit because they're a Muslim. Like, it's man, she is lost in her own fucking sauce.
We don't
man.
have to agree on everything, but there's something conspicuously suspicious about the attention being paid to Israel.
Yeah. Oh my God. Have you ever considered that maybe Israel is uniquely evil? Like, have you ever considered that? Because that's the case. Israel, no other country behaves like Israel. So yes, Israel gets more scrutiny because they're behaving like no other fucking country. They're behaving like Nazi Germany. Oh, is Nazi Germany? Dude, people just hate Germans. Everybody's paying so much attention to the Nazis all of a sudden. I mean, come on. They're just German people. How dare they? Why are they giving so much special treatment? Or why is everyone talking so badly about the Germans right now when it's just the Nazi party? I mean, come on. Like, it's so stupid. This is stupid analysis. Anyway, Caitlin Johnstone says, I've watched exactly 2 interview clips of this woman in my life, and both times she's brought up unprompted the fact that her kids think she's a genocidal right-wing monster. That's funny. That is funny. Yeah, I mean, these people, man, in the future, they need to be fucking like disowned from society. The people who did this, we need to like keep the receipts, man. These people need to be like disowned from society. The people who helped maintain the conditions for genocide and apartheid in Palestine. It's absurd. Anyway, people, with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you all for watching. Like I said before, I don't know how often I'm going to stream going forward. I'm going to stream when I want to, how I want to, because I need to do it in a way that is like more maintainable for me. So, you know, we'll see how it goes in the future. You know, but keep an eye out. I'll be on here every once in a while. But yeah, it's just going to be definitely more of just like a occasional, when I feel like, for fun sort of thing. I'm definitely not going to be like convinced or like constantly doing it every day. So maybe it'll be more like every other day. Maybe it'll be a couple times a week. I don't really know. So anyway, thank you all for watching. If you're watching the VOD, love you too. This has been Technically Clay, and the stream is technically over. Bye-bye.